All right, so you planned that coming in. You said, I'm going to do the old what's up, like the Dudley Boys.
That's how we're feeling right now.
Shout out to the Dudley Boys Hall of Famers. Obviously, did you hear the news about Jay Tatum? He's barking currently at shootaround for the Boston Celtics. That has to make you feel good that you kind of called this, a few weeks ago. You latched your buggy to the Jay Tatum wagon weeks ago.
What did he have? 31 last game? Was it 31 he dropped?
6 and 6.
Yeah, 31.
Oh, okay. Sorry, folks.
They're barking.
Oh, yeah.
They're barking, PK, too. They're underdogs on ESPN Bet. They think the Mavs are going to win. They're getting 1.5 somehow. 11 straight playoff dubs. Now, this will obviously pivot into NHL conversation, but the NBA is about to be a sweep, PK, is how everybody feels, especially with the dogs barking. Let's get to the NHL now. Is this going to be a sweep? Florida Panthers goes into Edmonton. Obviously, they're up a lot. Then they make it close. They end up winning. Bob standing on his head. It's like, this is a potential sweep in the NHL. I didn't know that was even possible in the finals of the Stanley Cup.
Well, Jay Tatum and the Celtics better pull me into their championship party, because I think I can get close to that trophy. I ain't going to the Panthers party, but I'll go to the Celtics party. Hopefully they pull me in on that. This will be a sweep. This will definitely be a sweep for me. I think the Florida Panthers put this thing to bed. The game for me that Edmonton had to win was last night. I thought they played well. Like the other games, they were in them, but costly mistakes. Championship teams just don't make that many mistakes. And they didn't make, too many, but they made enough. And when they made them, they're big mistakes. And every time you make a big mistake in the Stanley Cup Final, it usually ends up in the back of your net. You can't turn pucks over at the blue line. 9-12 left in the second period. Florida goes ahead, and then they scored 2 other goals in that period. It was a complete meltdown by the Edmonton Oilers defense. And it's not just on their defensive core. Their defensive core wasn't good enough, but it's everything. And Connor McDavid and company, Connor McDavid's playing his ass off right now. I mean, he's got to be getting exhausted. Playing 25, 26 minutes a game. He's up and down the ice, but it's like a bag skate right now. There's no support on the puck. The Florida Panthers look like they've been here before, and they were there last year. They're ready. They're poised. This is their moment. I don't see this thing getting extended. Could it happen? Yes, but guys, I bet your house that this thing's over tomorrow.
Yeah,
I would.
And obviously the Florida Panthers have been here before, which is why they seemingly are handling the situation so well. But you listen to Chucky talk. He comes on the show. He did an interview after the second period where they just ran it up. They're so in the moment, like all we're worried about is right now. All we're worried about is right now. All we're worried about is right now. And I assume they learned that from last year's run. And it sucks that the Edmonton Oilers are going to have to learn from losing. But I think the Vegas Golden Knights did that. The Tampa Bay Lightning did that. The Panthers are currently doing that. It feels like that is a hockey thing. Why is that? Just because the moments come and go so quickly and you have to be able to handle it all? Or why do you think the experience of being in the finals pays off a year later here for the Panthers, seemingly?
Well, and let's take it into hockey for a second. So the reason why we always say the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win is because of the wear and tear on your body, the emotional and physical grind of a Stanley Cup run. And the Florida Panthers team in the Stanley Cup Final last year was absolutely annihilated. Eric Ekblad had 3 broken bones. Matthew Tkachuk broken sternum. They had, you can go down the list of guys, the injuries that they had. It was just too much. And you look at Edmonton, it's like the same thing. Darnell Nurse, he's got a hernia. Evander Kane can't play. They got different guys banged up. You cannot miss that depth. You can't have that depth of your team injured. It's just going to affect you, not against the best defensive team in the Florida Panthers and a completely healthy team in Florida. They're probably banged up a bit, but they look good. They look healthy. So I think you have to go through that. And anybody that's won a Stanley Cup, you go back to Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, they'll tell you, when they lost to the Islanders in the playoffs, they walked by the locker room. These guys are celebrating, but they can see they got ice bags all over their bodies and ice baths, and that's when they knew what it was going to take to win. And Florida, definitely, you can see they have what it takes to win. They just got to finish the job now. So Edmonton, this might not be their time, but their time might be coming. But, there's a lot of teams in the league right now, Pat. There's a lot of teams in the league that could be in their situation. So it's not guaranteed getting back here That's what makes this so difficult for them on the verge of getting swept.
Yeah, you never know when the opportunity is never going to come again. My rookie year, we're in Super Bowl. We were completely undefeated until we chose to lose. And I say we loosely. I was the punter on the team, didn't know how to punt. And then a couple years later, we're almost completely defeated, and obviously full change around. You never know what's going to happen in professional sports. But with McDavid, you'd assume they'd be able to continue to do their thing, which leads to Ty's question, PK.
Yeah, PK, obviously, if you watch the games, and you just mentioned it, like, McDavid's playing his ass off. He's unbelievable. But the narrative kind of, I think after they won the first round this year was like, hey, listen, this is his best opportunity to win a Stanley Cup. If he doesn't get it done this year, is he going to go down like one of these all-time greats who just can't win no matter what, and he's kind of destined to always just be a loser?
Jeez.
Other people's words, not mine. But
Jeez.
people are saying it. But do you think, and especially if they get swept, is that conversation going to get really loud? Like, hey, McDavid's an unbelievable talent, maybe the best in the history of the NHL, but for whatever reason, this guy's just never going to win a Stanley Cup?
Well, I mean, it's been 9 years he's played in Edmonton. And let's be honest, he doesn't have any goals in this series or hasn't dominated offensively because of Sergei Bobrovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky, that save he made on McLeod on the goal line last night, he has made all the impossible saves possible. That save last night, Mess and I were looking. We both stood up. We're like, oh, here it is, here it is, here it is. And this guy's unbelievable. I can't explain it. I can't explain the goaltending performance that we're seeing on a nightly basis from Sergei Bobrovsky. It's so good that Sasha Barkov, who should be a shoo-in for the Conn Smythe Trophy, may not win it because Sergei Bobrovsky's just been that good. And without Sergei Bobrovsky, they're not here. Without Sasha Barkov, they're probably not here. So those two guys have been unbelievable. But Sergei Bobrovsky has definitely been the reason of why they are up 3-0 in this series. And by the way, they could have easily lost that game last night.
Yeah, it got close.
Sergei Bobrovsky made 2 or 3 saves that were game-changing saves. No one's going to talk about it because just no one's going to talk about it. But he was that good. He was that good. He's been that good in the series.
Yeah, we love Bob. We think Bob is a phenomenal talent, and how balanced he is all the time is seemingly his secret weapon versus everybody else. You were there last night, obviously, in the building. And I think Steve Levy started the entire show by saying, like, you ever want to feel like you're less important of a human, walk around Edmonton with Mark Messier. And then you said they don't call him Messier, they call him the Messiah here or whatever. I bet you that is fantastic. They love their hockey up there, obviously. That's an insane barn. That second period, pin drop in there, it felt like the entire place was demoralized. And then a lot of people were tweeting me, not just Edmonton, all of Canada is pulling for the Oilers. Is that accurate? And in that second period, did it feel like your entire home country was dead because the Florida Panthers decided to do what they do?
I found myself over the past 48 hours before the game yesterday. I came in and I'm like, oh man, Florida's going to win game 3. And I went to dinner 2 nights in Edmonton in this city. I went shopping. I did a few things. And the one thing I'll tell you, this is one of the most loyal fan bases. The people here in Edmonton are some of the nicest people I've met. And I haven't spent a lot of time in Edmonton. I've come here, played games. We always travel to Western Canada, but very rarely do you have the time to go out and be in the city and go to dinner and do shopping. So to do that, come game time, I'm like, man, I want these fucking guys to win. I want these guys to win this game. I'm like, man, I want to see Edmonton win. And then I get in the building, and listen, Montreal, nothing will ever compare to Montreal for me personally because I was drafted there. But I'm going to tell you, the Edmonton Oilers, that building was remarkable last night. The energy during O Canada, during the anthem, this is an amazing place to play. And, as in the media, sometimes you hear people talk about different cities. I don't want to hear it. Edmonton, this is an amazing place to play. Their fans showed up. But you're right, Pat. At 9-12, when CeCe goes back for the puck and Tarasenko puts that thing in the back of the net, you knew it was trouble. And then 2 more goals came after that, and you could hear a pin drop. But I'll give them credit. Not one fan left that building. Not one fan booed. They waited, and it got to 4-3. It was a close ending, but that fan base stood strong for the team, which I really admired. But Mess, I mean, walking around with him in this town last night, we had a couple barley sandwiches, and to see everybody and how they interact with him. No, it's
barley sandwiches.
Really, really special.
What are barley sandwiches?
A couple barley sandwiches. Heineken's, Rickard Whites are being passed around. Red Stripe. You guys don't know about
Rickard White?
Yeah, I know. A Bumba Club Red Stripe. Get out of it. Yeah, I know.
Well, hold on. Who's drinking Rickard's White? Well, first of all, I'm not a beer guy. I'm a tequila guy. Okay? All day I'm a tequila guy. Either that or Ray and Nephew overproof Jamaican rum, which none of you guys can touch because you guys aren't Jamaican, so you guys don't know about that. But I'm a tequila guy, so
I've watched
they were having
movie.
the beers, I was having the tequila.
Okay, so you're getting boozed up with Messier. Barley sandwich, plural barley sandwiches. Canada slang, a drink of beer typically taken as a liquid lunch. Right. You Canadians are the best.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They really are. A little bit of a runaway with the barley sandwiches.
Gong
We
show.
chose not to. Yeah, I had a little bit of a gong show because instead of lunch, we had the barley sandwiches.